Well, it's official. Samantha Parkington is dead. So, to celebrate, we are going to be reviewing the brand new American Girl of the Year for 2026 that was just released today. I know we had a few leaks a few months ago, and we have a few surprises today. So, I'm just going to go through the entire collection, and we're going to chill and hang today and just talk all things Raquel Reyes, the new American Girl of the Year 2026. This is going to be a super casual video today. I guess I'll just go ahead and spoil that I have to order the doll. I can't just run out and get her because they closed the American Girl store near me. So I will spoil it and say I did order the doll and she should hopefully be on her way shortly. I paid an absolute fortune for express shipping. So she should be here in a couple of days, hopefully, and we'll do a full unboxing then. But today I just wanted to kind of talk about my feelings about the collection and Raquel herself, because we've got a lot to look into today. This isn't just any typical American Girl of the Year doll. This is the 25th anniversary, according to American Girl, the 25th anniversary of the Girl of the Year line. I guess that makes sense. I think Lindsey Bergman was released in 2001. And then on top of that, it's also the same year as the 40th anniversary for the founding of Pleasant Company, which is the original American Girl, all the way back from when I was a little kid. And boy, I feel like I'm as old as Samantha at this point. So yeah, we're just going to go through the collection today. We're going to look at it, and I'm just going to tell you everything I know about it, how I feel about it, and maybe a few fun facts along the way. So yeah, I brought my favorite Samantha along for moral support today. We have a 1986 amber-eyed Samantha with tiny little chipped teeth and a bug flying around my head for some reason. That's probably going to annoy me for an entire hour today. But yeah, this is one of my prized Samanthas. She is an original from 1986. So as of next year, she will be 40 years old, and she's one of the most beautiful I've ever seen. I paid a fortune for her, and if you're on Patreon, you probably know exactly how much I paid for her. If you're wondering why Julie's toilet is in the front, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm doing something. So yeah, I just want to hop on the website and just start looking at stuff. And right away, like, I think we all knew this because we got leaks all of that time ago. I swear we got leaks like way back in the spring for Raquel. So I think a lot of us kind of knew this was coming. And we are, I guess because of some of the, like, again, pictures in the leaks, we were like, oh, this is totally going to be a descendant of Samantha. So I guess if you're like so deep in the lore like I am, you probably knew this already. But for those of you that are new and maybe casual American Girl fans, Raquel Reyes is the great granddaughter of the original, or one of the three original American Girl characters, Samantha Parkington, who grew up in the Edwardian era. Her story is set around 1904. And Raquel is well, she's a Girl of the Year, but she's contemporary, meaning like she is 9 years old. I think 9 years old. Obviously, I haven't read the journal yet, but she's roughly 9 years old in the year 2026. So she's like a young kid as we speak now. So everything that Raquel's going to be going through are things that current American girls are going through. So we'll touch on that probably in just a little bit. But yeah, it seems that Raquel has, I probably could have checked this before starting, but I wanted to do this a little casually today because we're probably going to hang out for a while. And did I really need to script an hour-long video? No, it would have been insufferable. So it looks like she's got medium skin tone, so it's going to be somewhere in the range of like 20 or 25. In her background, I think she is Mexican American, to the best of my knowledge. Again, please don't come for me in the comments because I am making this a little bit early in the release. But to my knowledge, Raquel is Mexican American. She lives in Kansas City, but I think they've gone out to the East Coast somewhere. Well, I guess wherever Piney Point is, that's somewhere on the East Coast, on the ocean, and they're there for a family reunion. So that's going to be a big part of Raquel's story, is the family, or at least in the journals, is the family reunion where they meet up at what I believe is Samantha's original house, like the one that was in the books that was illustrated. You know, that big, beautiful, like, I think it was a Victorian house. I don't know, like, I'm not super duper familiar with architecture, but like just to look at that, if I saw that listing for that house on Zillow, first of all, I'd be like, nobody needs a house that freaking big. But second, I'd be like, that's a Victorian house. Like, we think of that as like a Victorian style house, and it's humongous and probably, well, I'm gonna say there's a lot of money that passed down through that family, so there's a good chance that they probably added central air to that house. I would be curious to know if that was part of the story, but I picture like really tall ceilings and yeah, I think it's probably been updated. And if I can remember, I'll get into that when we touch on one of the accessories. So her story centers around a big family reunion at Samantha's house, in or near Piney Point. I can't remember the exact lore on all of that, but yeah, I think family is a big topic that's talked about in her stories. I know that adoption is one of the issues that's brought up, which I think is so great because I don't think Raquel is adopted. It's my understanding that one of the characters in her story, that's like one of her cousins, I think, is adopted, and I think there's a small plot point, at least in the journal, that references that. That's my guess based on what I've seen. So I know also on their advisory board, which Raquel got an entire advisory board for her release, which is amazing because I know that there are always so many budget cuts on things. Times are tough right now, and I know that companies are having to cut budgets, and even Mattel, that's like a multi-billion-dollar company, they have overhead they have to deal with. So I'm really, really pleasantly surprised that Raquel got a full advisory board. So we have, I think, I probably should look it up, but we have several members of an advisory board, everything from like dolphin specialists to adoption specialists. So they really tried to make sure that they weren't just grasping things out of thin air. These like stories and plot lines are based in real world like experiences, which I think is absolutely amazing. That's American Girl's MO, and I love to see that they're still doing that. And from what it looks like, I feel like they took a lot of care with Raquel's character to make sure that she, is worthy of Samantha's lore. So I really think that they put like all hands on deck on this one. I mean, we'll start with the doll. Like I said, she's a medium skin tone. I'm assuming that she is she would be considered Mexican American. I believe in the Good Morning America episode, they said that her father was Mexican American, I want to say. So she's at least half Mexican from what I understand. So that's really cool. So I'm guessing it's her mom's, like Samantha is from her mom's side of the family, if I had to guess. Again, I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I know you will. So, and anyway, so as far as like the doll goes, they've used the Joss head sculpt, which I think was a good move. Actually, like that's probably the exact head sculpt I would have picked if it was up to me because, Samantha has the classic head sculpt because it was the only one that was available when she was made. And then I think as like a point of difference, I think it's really cool that they picked Joss because that is a beloved head sculpt. It is, in my opinion, very similar to classic. In fact, I've even said that like, hang on, I'm getting distracted because it's a weird time of year and I have to film with natural light because I suffer from really bad migraines and studio lights really, really affect it. So I film with natural light when I can. I'm aware that I look absolutely insane because I have a like a white rug in my room and the fall light is like just pinging right off the floor. So I'm aware that I look insane. Just look at the pictures on your screen. Trust me, you'll be better off for it. But anyway, so as far as like the Joss head sculpt goes, I feel like it looks so much like the classic head sculpt, almost like an updated version of it. So I think it's very like reasonable that those like that the Joss head sculpt looks like it would be related to the classic head sculpt. And again, it's just a lot of people's favorite. They really love a lot of the characters that have that. I know that Maritza was a really popular character from the World by Us range, and this all looks very similar to her now that Maritza has been retired, and people have been spending like hundreds of dollars on her on the secondhand market. So I know that at least with adults, the Maritza head sculpt, or not Maritza head sculpt, but a doll that looks similar to Maritza is going to probably do pretty well. I know so far the initial reaction to Raquel is that people are loving her, myself included. I think the doll is so beautiful, and I pretty much love everything about her, as you'll find out as we go through everything. But so we have a medium skin Joss head sculpt, which I think is really great. I know that American Girl tries to make sure that their American Girl of the Year collection isn't just a white doll every single year. I know there was maybe a little bit of period back in the day where is like, I feel like we were seeing a lot of blonde classic head sculpt dolls, but I really feel like we have gotten a lot of representation outside of like having really deep skin dolls like number 30 and 35 skin tone, which, I don't want to get into that today because I think Raquel is the perfect American Girl character for this year, or I guess next year. But all in all, I think the Girl of the Year line is very, very diverse, outside of like the skin tone issue with, having deeper skin dolls. But as a general rule, you don't typically see them do like 5 white dolls in a row anymore, which I think is really great because I think that these stories are a really great opportunity for learning. So, yeah, and like I said, I've always been a big proponent of children having dolls that don't look like them so that they can, it just normalizes being around people that don't look exactly like you. I just think it's a really great thing for their development. So, anyway, Raquel, what else can we say about Raquel? Again, Joss head sculpt, very, I think, typical face paint for the doll. Her lip tone looks in the pictures, it looks on the orange side, which I think is an interesting choice based on her meat outfit. Because her skin tone, not her skin tone, her outfit is sort of like on the warmer side, like with the purples and the pinks and everything. I don't know. I think that her lips maybe could have been a little bit pinker. I don't know, but that's a small nitpick. But her meat outfit is referencing Samantha's meat outfit very clearly. They even say it in the like the product description. So very, very clear references to Samantha and her outfit. So yeah, we've got the gingham. It looks like, I don't know, it's like a ruched top, I think. But it looks like it's just like a cotton kind of material. One of the cool things is I feel like it's a subtle thing, but I feel like at this point, like they've been putting bracelets with the dolls as part of like an accessory that comes with them. I know Summer had them and Kira has, like, for several years now, if not, probably not forever, but for several years, it's sort of like a thing that the American Girls of the Year come with a bracelet as like that you get with the dolls. So Raquel has her own bracelet, which I think is an upgrade this year. I know the last few years it's either been like a little like leather strap or just some beads on a piece of elastic, but Raquel's looks, I'm sure it's actually plastic, but it's molded and it's like this it's basically a bow that references the bow on Samantha's brooch, which I think is a really fun like throwback. So I think that's going to be a really nice accessory to have just as part of like your own mix and match collection. So I think that's really cool. All in all, I really like her outfit. Again, it's not to my personal taste because I don't just, yeah, I'm not really into like boho and shabby chic. So I think that that's probably something to remember as I review all of this stuff. But I'm kind of looking at it through the lens of a child as well, because this line really is, I think, mainly directed at children, and I think. What's important to them and the things that they like are the most important. So, yeah, obviously, as somebody that's like not that into clothes and like really into grunge and stuff, boho and shabby chic are not going to be like my personal favorites, but that doesn't mean that that's not the correct thing for them to do. I think all in all, this outfit looks really, really great. And again, we have references to Samantha's original bow and hairstyle because Raquel's got sort of like a, what do you call it? Like a partial ponytail with the gingham bow in it. Very, very Samantha coded. I think her hair actually is side parted, unlike Samantha's, but yeah, we don't have bangs again, which I get why. I just miss seeing bangs on dolls. I know they're doing some of them, like they're bringing bangs back a little bit more, but I just feel like bangs kind of disappeared for a while in the American Girl universe. So, yeah, I just like them. I don't know, but yeah, that's not a criticism. It's just if I had my own personal like choices that I could make, I would have given Raquel bangs. But again, probably not the right choice for this specific doll. Because again, I don't think that we want a doll that's like an exact replica of Samantha. I think giving some like a lot of different points of difference so that she like is her own entity and not just living in the shadow of her great great grandmother. So I like that she's like super different from Samantha. Although one thing I will say, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but she has the closest thing that American Girl makes to amber eyes, which I think is really fun. So this Samantha that I have here, I don't know if you can see her on the screen or not, depending on how lazy I get with the editing, but my Samantha that's sitting with me has the original amber eyes that are so coveted. So the original Samantha's from like 1986 and early 1987 have really, really, really light brown eyes. They're almost like a little bit freaky looking, and people like pay thousands of dollars to find Samantha's like this with these eyes. So I think it's really fun that, accidental or not, I feel like her eye, like Raquel's eyes, are a reference to Samantha's amber eyes. Like that's the closest color that they could get to match Samantha. So I think that's a really fun detail as far as Raquel goes, is that's about as closest to the original Samantha you can get. But I think they're Tenny's eyes. I'm not entirely certain, but they're very light brown, like amber eyes. But anyway, yeah, yet again, we have a journal and not a chapter book, which I think this is how it's going to be for the foreseeable future, that we're not getting chapter books with the dolls, which, I don't have children, and I don't know what like is the most important to getting kids through. I mean, it's still reading, so it's not that there's no reading involved in it at all. I don't know. I feel like parents could probably chime in better on this. So I don't want to be like, oh, it's bad that there's journals instead of chapter books, because I know a lot of people don't like that, but I can't really comment on that. I mean, obviously for me as an adult reading these things, I do prefer chapter books because it feels like there's more of a narrative, but I also understand that these journals are a way for the child to read like through the lens, like through the doll's perspective, basically. So like the journals are basically written in first person. So I think that's probably their way of trying to get the child to immerse themselves into Raquel's world, is reading her story through her eyes and her experience. That's my guess, like partly as to why they're doing that. Now, also I think that it's very likely that chapter books are becoming less and less common for children as well, just through iPad, like the use of iPads and things like that. But again, it's not my area of expertise, so it's not really something I can comment on extensively. But all of that's to say is we yet again have a journal instead of a chapter book. And I would assume that we are going to be getting a chapter book probably later, and probably next year if I had to guess. I want to say Summer's book came out not that long ago. And I guess one like quick note as well is the author of her journal, and probably again if she's getting a book, I'm assuming she's writing her book as well. Angela Cervantes wrote her journal, and just sitting here looking through the advisory board briefing basically on Raquel's page, it says that she's Mexican American and lives in Kansas City. So I think that's pretty cool that Raquel's author is like able to have some autobiographical details in the book. I think I just think that's really fun. So that's likely why Raquel's hometown is Kansas City, is because that's the author's experience, and she can like write through her own experience. Again, I think that's really awesome. I love that. And I guess one more like final note about the journal before we actually start talking about more doll stuff is that they had, I think, yeah, Micah Plinsky did the illustrations for this journal, and she's my favorite illustrator as far as like recent American Girl illustrators go. I just think her style is very modern, but it's still like a similar level of abstraction as to like the original like colored pencil and watercolor, I guess mostly colored pencil illustrations from the early Pleasant Company books. And as much as I love the original illustrations, and they like are just childhood not personified, but it just encapsulates childhood for me to look at those illustrations. I don't think that they are as relevant. I just like those same, like as beautiful as they are, and as much as I love them, I think just times change and trends change, and I think that Micah's illustration style, which I think it looks like she does her work digitally, but it's just got more of it's not quite graphic novel style, but it feels like it's a more current like style of illustration, and I just think she does really beautiful work. And the illustrations I've seen in her books and journals, I just think is like spot on for American Girl. So yeah, I love that they hired her to do Raquel's story as well. Because yeah, one note on that, like really quickly before I move on, American Girl has done in recent history, and I guess sort of not so recent history, they have done more or less like photographs of children like dressed up as the characters. I know like particularly with Courtney's book, a lot of the illustrations there and like the book covers, they actually put kids in costumes and like basically photographed and then like photoshopped them and stuff. I just think that's like not abstracted enough. I don't really like seeing like actual photos, just because it's too, if you don't abstract things enough, it's hard to like get, I don't know. Maybe I'm the odd person out on this, but I like the illustrations because it lets your imagination run a little bit more wild, I think. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. I like things that are a little more illustrated than photographed. That's actually like my one nitpick about Courtney's entire like universe, is that I wish they had not used photographs for her books, and I don't see American Girl doing a ton of that anymore, and I hope it stays that way. So yeah, as far as the doll goes, I like 10 out of 10 recommend. I am so excited to get mine. I think they did such a wonderful job picking her story. Again, maybe we'll touch on it more at the end, but just the story that comes along with her. I love how they were able to tie in some original Pleasant Company lore and as it regards to Samantha, and they were able to put like a fresh spin on it for a new generation. So it doesn't feel like, oh, this is like my parents' thing. Like it feels like it's new for like a modern child to read and understand. It doesn't seem like it's so I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's a little bit nostalgia bait. Let's be real. It's a little bit nostalgia bait, but not to the point where like some things it's like a kid wouldn't be interested in this. I think this is like perfectly suited for like a modern day like young child. Real quickly, like moving on to her meat accessories, I think these are pretty good. Again, all in all, like Raquel, 10 out of 10 on everything. But it's my job to nitpick a little bit. I feel like if I sit here and say, this is great, this is great, this is great, nobody is going to care, right? So we'll start with the things that I think are a little odd, but I did buy this set. So, I mean, obviously not so odd that I didn't pick it up. It's interesting that they put cell phones, I guess, with every girl of the year. Like that's sort of like a required thing. I don't know if it's like a way of signaling that it's a named character that's also modern, or if it's just like kids have smartphones now and that's just part of relating to your doll is giving her a phone. So, it's I don't know. I just feel like I see the same thing every single year as like now, like they're all getting like, smartphones and it's like the same mold, the same case and everything. So it's a little bit of a throwaway for me. But again, you got to remember these are like, she's probably ages 6 and up if I had to guess. So it's fine. Like this is probably for a lot of children, their first doll that has a cell phone. So I get it. The other thing that I think, there's two more things that I think are a little odd. One, I get obviously we're giving her Samantha's locket to wear as a necklace, basically, which is really great. It's just a little odd that this was already a product in their product line. To the best of my knowledge, like I'm sitting here looking at a doll that already has this on from last year's holiday collection. I can never remember if it's something Navy or Janie and Jack. I think it's Janie and Jack, but the holiday collection that was like sort of inspired by the original Pleasant Company looks. They've already made this necklace before or something extremely similar, but it's fine that they've recycled it for Raquel. But I'm just saying, like, we've seen this before. But anything that keeps prices like lower, they haven't like jacked up the prices super high. So, anything that keeps prices lower, I'm on board with. So, the only other thing is I think her bag is a little weird. I know that it's probably meant to look like a sort of like a beach bag, although I would argue that you would do more of a plastic one if it was a beach bag. So it's just like a simple tote with like embroidery on it. It's fine. My doll will be wearing it. Just like all in all, I think that meat accessory set probably could have used a little more pizzazz, but all in all, like, of course I bought it because it has pictures of Samantha and that little book that we saw all those months ago. We weren't entirely sure what it was, but it turns out that that's Samantha's original diary. So this is all like, if you flip through it, I think there are pages that kind of talk about, I think that like the women's suffrage luncheon that Samantha went to with Aunt Cornelia. Yeah, I think that's really great. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted the meat accessories is because it's technically a Samantha item. And I know this is like so insane, but I have pretty much everything for Samantha's collection. There are a few outfits I still need to get from like way deep into the Mattel era, but I have almost all of Samantha's collection. So anytime I can add to it, it's really fun. So I feel like this is like technically part of Samantha's collection as far as the lore goes is her old diary. So that's the main reason I picked up this accessory set because I just thought that was really fun. So yeah, it's Samantha's diary and we've got some pictures including a peppermint ice cream recipe and a picture of the old Victorian house. That's all really cool. And according to people that have that I know that have already gotten their hands on the meat accessories, the sunglasses are really cool too, which I'm looking forward to. I don't know if my Raquel will be wearing them, or I'm about to order a pink-haired Create Your Own doll, and something tells me the pink-haired Create Your Own doll is going to be wearing these sunglasses. But they're really fun, and it looks. I don't know if it's a new like mold for these glasses, but they definitely look unique. I like that they have like light pink rims and pink lenses in them. So yeah, I'm excited all in all to get this set. I don't love the bag. I wish the bag was like a little, I had a few more details in it, but you got to remember prices on things are like through the roof and tariffs and everything. So I honestly feel like it's an amazing feat that they were able to do all this stuff and it wasn't twice like the original retail price that we were expecting. So I get that there are some things that might have been needed to be made a little bit cheaply, potentially. I'm not sure, but all in all, I think it looks really great and I'm excited to get this set and use it because I think I'll use just about everything in this accessory set, maybe except for the cell phone. So yeah, I think great set with, just a couple of tiny little nitpicks. All right, so I'm just gonna go in the order these things are listed on the website. I know it's probably odd to like jump to the big ticket item right away, but I freaking love it so much. It's Raquel's Seaside car, and I I am so tempted to buy this. Now, it is $275, which honestly, yeah, it seems a little high. I don't know if that's like in line with how much their cars are. And I don't even know, I don't even think it's a remote control car, but it's really beautiful. I think was designed so beautifully and I want it really bad. I honestly, I probably would buy it if I wasn't. I'm moving most likely later this year. Well, I won't get into it today because this is going to be a long video. But I'm moving very far away, and it just makes no sense to buy something this clunky that I honestly will probably lose interest in less than a year. But this seaside car is very, very cool. It almost reminds me a little bit of like Mary Ellen's era, and so maybe they've been trying to do a few nods here and there to like other pleasant, or not, maybe not Pleasant Company, but like American Girl's history. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch, but the color palette and like the body on this car very much looks like Mary Ellen could enjoy this as part of her collection. But I love the like teal and pink combination. And it looks like it's a convertible, which is really cool. So you can like remove the canopy, which is, I absolutely love this. Like I said, I low key want this really bad, but based on looking at Raquel sitting in this car, I think this thing is freaking huge. So I know better than to buy it, but man, under slightly different circumstances, I would own this car. I think it is one of the coolest things that they've made for the American Girl of the Year collection in a long while. So yeah, it's very, 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 very pretty. I feel like Raquel is living a very fancy lifestyle. I think Samantha invested her money well. So, we're looking at generational wealth here, which is a little bit annoying, based on like what things are like in the world right now. But, it is American Girl. It's a luxury brand. And, I guess what can you expect? So, yeah, I think Raquel, is enjoying the family fortune, which I think is, I guess, good for her. So yeah, anyway, this car is probably my favorite thing from her entire collection. Yeah, like I said, I can't say enough good about it. I think it is so, so pretty. All right. And interestingly, they made like matching outfits for girls as well, which I think is pretty cool. That's something that American Girl's been doing literally since 1986. And so, I mean, I'm glad to know that the company is still doing well enough that they can justify like an entire like range of children's clothes. So that's pretty cool. But I'm not going to review it because again, I don't think it's that interesting as far as like the context of my channel. So we will move on to her Piney Point pickleball outfit, which again, apologies if I am starting to sound raspy. I have been trying to record every day this week and I'm like losing my voice a lot sooner than I normally do. So I'm going to try and make it through today so we can get this video up and, do a nice hangout on the day to celebrate Raquel's release. But yeah, I might need to take a break in a second because I'm already losing my voice. But so yeah, I don't know. Pickleball's probably been around for a while. I know my mom got into it for a while. So I guess it's like a trendy sport. I don't know how long it's been around. I'm going to assume for a long time, but it seems like also like just a culturally relevant thing to put her in. So I think this outfit is really cute. I'm not like really into sports. So again, it's not something I would buy for myself, but I do, I love the pink and teal. I think it's super pretty. One fun thing about it is the t-shirt for the outfit is not like your standard t-shirt. Like they've done an interesting, like very like sporty cut and sew pattern to it. I really like that. The shoes, are obviously a little generic, but they've made so many shoes over the years. It's kind of hard to like innovate and make anything new that's going to be better than what they've already done. So, yeah, as far as like the socks and shoes go, like it's typical, but it looks like we have like new patterns and everything for the actual skirt and shirt. So, I think a lot of people really like this and are probably going to buy it. And like I said, if under different circumstances, I could see myself buying this entire collection, but like I said, I'm moving and I've got like literally piles and piles of American Girl doll stuff that I'm trying to sell and need to sell. So I'm just trying to not buy a ton of stuff. But I do like this outfit. I think this was a really great addition to her collection. And again, it's sporty. I think that for the average kid, I think that's fun. And in addition to that, they have an accessory set for pickleball. So it's probably safe to say that somewhere in her story they're playing pickleball because they typically try and weave the storyline, like weave these products into the storyline. So I would assume she's playing pickleball somewhere in this journal. And again, it's still like the same theme of like pink and teal. Really, really pretty. My favorite piece from the set is either like the bag or the hat. One thing I think is like a little funny that I noticed the first time I looked at this, they've got this water bottle that goes with it. And I think the color choice is really interesting. It looks like, when people, and if you're one of these people, look, I'm not going to judge you, but I know that there are a lot of people that carry like water bottles, like metal or glass or whatever, and they don't wash them because they're like, oh, it's water. It washes itself, right? So there's so many people that drink out of water bottles that they don't wash for months at a time. And that's what this reminds me of because they've got like this green ombre at the bottom. So it looks like algae is growing in her water bottle. So I think that is like a funny color choice because again, it looks like she's drinking swamp water in this. So that is so hilarious to me. But yeah, again, I like the set. I think it's really cute. I would have bought it if I had the extra budget and space for it, especially because this visor is so cute. Again, I love like the clear, completely non-functional like bill on the visor. Like, what is even the point of this hat if like it doesn't protect your face from the sun? And I guess she has hair, so she doesn't need, like, I don't know. It's purely decorative, but it's cute, but I don't know. I don't, maybe it reduces glare as she's trying to play pickleball. I don't know. I just think like a see-through bill is kind of funny, and I don't know, very retro feeling. I feel like that was a thing that was around like in the 80s as well as like those like clear build visors. All right, next up we have Raquel's dog Luzita, which I read about this earlier. I think that this is a Pomeranian, but I think she's from an animal shelter, so which I think is actually like a common misconception with a lot of people as they think that you can't get purebred dogs at animal shelters. So I think that's kind of a cool thing to teach people. Like if you have, like if you want a specific dog breed, you can actually get one from an animal shelter. So that's pretty cool. Again, I don't have a lot to say about this. I'm not really a small dog person. I don't know. I'm like I don't know. I really love mixed breed dogs. So I wish we saw more of that in the American Girl universe. I know that I guess you have to remember that a lot of these things are meant to be teaching tools so kids can learn about different types of things. But I would just love to see more mixed breed dogs where and I'm not talking like golden doodles either. I'm talking like, hey, we got this dog from the animal shelter and we don't really know what it is. And maybe you could teach about like genetic testing or something. I don't know. But I would like to see more mixed breeds in the American Girl lore. But I do understand that it's like a way of not only teaching kids about other dog breeds, but probably trying to take a stab at figuring out like what a common breed is so that kids are like, oh, like we have a dog that looks like this. Let me get a dog, like a doll version of it. So that's, I guess, my only nitpick about it. I think the dog is super cute though. I like the coloring on her as well. It's sort of like, I don't know. She looks maybe a little lighter than the average Pomeranian, but I think with that like pastel pink striped bag, I think it's like a very soft look. I think it's very cute. I think it's funny that they have like an actual like poop bag holder for the doll as well. And the funniest thing about this to me is seeing like in plain text on the American Girl website saying like a poop bag holder, like seeing the word poop on American Girl's official website tickles me. I think that's super funny. But yeah, I think her dog is really cute. Again, probably something I would pick up if I was buying more of her collection. I do like her. I do love the animals in American Girls universe. I actually finally bought Nikki and Isabel's cat and dog set this morning so I could get over free shipping on my purchase of Raquel this morning. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually had a chocolate lab when I was Nikki and Isabel's age. So that's a really fun thing for me. So anyway, not that we care about that today. Oh, actually, probably one of my favorite things from Raquel's collection, maybe outside of the car, is her pajama set. And I don't know why I say it like pajama all the time. I don't mean to. I know it's pajama, but I think these are really, really pretty. Again, Raquel's story is very, very, it's got a really strong color palette. We've got a lot of pinks and teals in there, which I think is super duper pretty. And obviously the pajamas are no exception. They're sort of like the seersucker fabric, which I think is very beachy. I love that. It's a very southern fabric, I feel like, too. I think a lot of men will wear, or actually not even just men, people that wear suits will wear suits made out of seersucker. I think that's like a very southern thing, which I know this story has nothing at all to do with the South, but I love a seersucker fabric. And again, I was this close to purchasing these. And the only reason I didn't is because I don't ever like, basically ever put dolls in pajamas for display, but I came really close to getting these because I think they're really pretty, and honestly, I think Samantha would look really cute in them too. So maybe one of these days when they go on sale, we'll see. But yeah, I gotta say, this is one of my favorite pajama sets they've made in recent years. My absolute favorite is Melody's, like her current ones that are basically kind of a similar vibe, but I think these are super duper pretty, and I love that they're seersucker. They're going to be very easy to take care of because it's already like wrinkly by nature. So this, you could dress your doll in this outfit and, you know, snuggle with her at nighttime, and the pajamas will basically look exactly the same in the morning as they did when they went to bed. So that's pretty fun. I'm sitting here looking at like I think it's actually interesting that American Girl's website actually says how many of each item was added to like quote unquote added to bag every week, I think it is. So it's kind of telling you how like many people are purchasing this. So just to look at like online, it looks like as of recording this, it's like before lunchtime today. It looks like it's not even 11 o'clock yet as I'm recording, but it looks like they've sold about 450 units of Raquel already, which is really great. I think this doll is going to be a slam dunk this year. I think they did everything right. I don't think they made many missteps with this, and basically everything that I'm talking about today that's like a criticism is just like the tiniest nitpick, basically because for content's sake. But like I said this whole time, like this is like pretty much it's like a 9.5 out of 10 collection. I think they did a really, really good job. So yeah, pajamas, beautiful. Would possibly consider adding them to my collection at some point in the near future. Another set that I debated and I didn't because it's big, but this vintage vanity set I almost bought because it has something from Samantha's lore in it, and they got me with this. So this is obviously super modern looking. I think they kind of have to do that to get these things to sell now. I think it would have been really hard to put like a solid like cherry wood vintage dressing table as part of her collection. So they've got to figure out how to modernize it and sort of I don't know. It looks a little TJ Maxified to me, if you ask my like personal opinion, but it's so pretty. It's really, really pretty. It's giving a little bit Facebook furniture flip, which, you know, everybody has their opinions on them. I'm sure somebody watching this right now does them, but it's as long as it's not like a mint condition historical piece of furniture. If it's your dresser, paint it whatever color you want, and give somebody else a job later to strip it if they decide to. But I've seen a lot of videos on like I guess Instagram where people have gone and bought really pretty furniture and just painted it some hideous color, but I like this color. Again, I love the pink and teal theme. I think it's super duper pretty. According to the description on this, the top of the vanity is actual wood. I don't know. It's probably like chipboard or like masonite or something. It's probably not like fine like Russian oak or anything. But the fact that it's wood at all probably gives it a nicer feel than it being completely plastic. I'm going to guess the rest of it's plastic because they didn't say anything about it. But one other really cool thing is the chair, I think, is powder coated metal, which is really, really great. I think it would have been so easy to make this chair out of plastic because that's just where things have been going over the last several like decades basically. So the fact that the chair is made out of metal is another reason I kind of wanted to get this. It is very, very like coquette, very, very femme. It's a very Pottery Barn teen. I don't know if you've ever shopped around on Pottery Barn. This looks like something you would get at like Pottery Barn teen. So like very, very femme, but I love it. I think it's really, really pretty, and I don't have a lot bad to say about it. Again, a little more plastic than I'd like to see, but it honestly it could be worse, I have to say. I don't know what the scale is like. I'm looking at Raquel sitting in it, so it looks like it's downscaled a lot, but for anybody that's gonna complain about the scale on that, I will say, like, I have seen my I think it's my great-grandmother's or my grandmother's one a recent family member's dressing table because my parents basically inherited it, and they are very low, including the chair. So, like, when you sit in them, you're not sitting up high like you would, like, a modern, like, computer desk or whatever. So, and this is, like they're saying I think it's, like, antique inspired. Hang on, let me see. Vintage inspired vanity. So I don't know. I feel like vintage inspired, they probably do the correct height. But if you want to try and get like technical, if for it to be really low like that would actually kind of make a little bit of sense if it's vintage inspired because those dressing tables were really, really low to the ground. I was kind of surprised when I saw it. I was like, how do they get up out of these things if you like have, I don't know, like some like disability as you get older? I don't know. So yeah, the fact that it looks really low, I'm gonna let slide just because it's it's vintage inspired. But It's really, really, really cute. I think this is so dainty and looks so pretty in a dollhouse. I even love the detail of the like, we obviously are seeing the theme of the, like, gold, sculpted bow. I don't know if they're metal or plastic or whatever, but the bow pulls on the vanity, I think are a really nice touch. Again, just bringing back the original, like, Samantha callbacks. So, yeah, again, I think this is a really great set. If I had all the money and space in the world, this is something I would buy. I think it'd be really fun, especially because they've got that one little piece in there that is meant to be, I think, is it a jewelry box? It says a round trinket box that belonged to Raquel's great great grandmother Samantha, featuring a domed lid with a vintage inspired rose pattern. So again, I really want this because I can put it with my Samantha collection. It's technically a Samantha item according to the lore, right? So I don't know. I kind of low key want to buy this. I cannot justify it. How much? $135 is not insane considering how much they charge for a lot of things. So I don't even think it's like that expensive, like as far as American Girl goes. But I don't know. Y'all talk me out of this in the comment section. I'm literally like thinking about calling American Girl and seeing if they can put this in my order. I really want that trinket box and that chair. Interestingly, it's again very Samantha looking. So again, another really great set. I think the big ticket items this year were really, really good. I don't always love them every year. Even like Corinne Tan, who's probably my favorite girl of the year of all time. I didn't love her big ticket items, but like man, I really love Raquel's big ticket items, and she's got a few actually. Moving on real quick to the beach party dress. This is probably my least favorite look in the collection, and it's mainly because of the color. So I would need to see this in person to make like a final call on it. But I just don't love like an eggplant unless it's mixed with the right colors and used minimally. But like this just isn't to my personal taste, but I know a lot of people really, really love this, and I think this is going to be a big hit. It's saying 138 were added to bag so far. So I think a lot of people are going to get this and really love it. And the colors look really good on the doll, I have to say. Like it looks good on her. And I like the embroidery on everything. I think that's really awesome. And the shoes are really cute. Are they glittery? Oh yeah, the shoes are glittery. This is probably I like this the more I look at it, I like it more than my initial reaction. I especially love that like tote bag that's sort of like it's like a woven tote bag, like straw tote bag maybe. Let me see what it's made out of. It says faux straw, so it's probably plastic. But again, very 90s. I feel like I always remember my mom carrying around something like that at the beach, like a woven straw bag with like fruit like embroidered on it. Like I can't remember what that stuff's called, but it was like had like foam, like it was, I don't know, it was like foam fruit with like rattan like wrapped around it or something. It was very, very delightfully weird. I miss those. That kind of reminds me of that. So I do like the set. And again, I probably would pick it up if I was collecting Girl of the Year fervently. But yeah, not something that I'm going to pick up, but I think a lot of people will. So I do think this is a really great set. I will say Raquel's collection is very like femme and girly, which, we've seen a lot of that lately. I can't really like comment. I would assume that Mattel and American Girl have the sales data to know that this is what kids are wanting more of. So, they're not stupid. They're not pulling this stuff out of thin air. So the fact that I'm seeing this, that just means that's what kids are wanting more of. So, what can I say? I think that's just where we're at right now is like femme things are super popular. So next, we've got, let's see, Raquel's beach outfit. Again, this is another one I almost bought, but I just knew that I wouldn't personally use it, but it is so pretty. Yeah, I think this is really, really cute. I know there will be some complaints about the cloth torso showing, but it's just like that's where we're at. This is how these dolls are made. And to have any sort of like skin showing at like the décolletage, you have to see like the neck seam. I mean, they're dolls at the end of the day. I, you know, this is too long of a video to get into possible solutions for that. So anyway, I think this is a really cute set, and I feel like that straw hat again is a callback to Samantha. I think there was some things like that, at least in her Be Forever collection, where we have like a straw hat with a bow on it from memory. So a little bit of callbacks to Samantha. I think that this is overall pretty. It's a little bit too shabby chic for me, but I think it's going to be popular. So again, I think it overall is a really great look. Actually, I will say I think my favorite thing from the set are those like plastic Birkenstocks. Like they're like pastel pink Birkenstocks. They're all plastic though. I wish. Well, I guess this is like a beach outfit, so it would be weird to have like suede Birkenstocks at the beach. So I guess it makes sense that they're plastic. I think they're really cute though. We also have yet another like big piece, like, as far as, like, accessories go, which is her, beach chairs and barbecue set. So, I think they were really, betting that this was gonna be a home run this year. I think it is going to be, but they've made a lot of stuff for this collection, and I feel like hang on one second. I feel like most of the stuff is gonna sell really well. I think the color palette's really beautiful. I think there's a lot of different types of things in here. So I think most of this stuff is gonna be popular. I'll be interested to see how this set sells because it doesn't work great for a dollhouse, and it's meant to be, like, on a beach, but that barbecue is so cute. So I'd be curious how practical this is for children. I know that not many adults collect the play sets and stuff, so I'll be curious to see how it sells. I'm not seeing any sales numbers on their website as far as, like, how many were added to the bag, so I'm gonna guess this is probably one of the lesser selling things, but it is only $75, which is good. I think anytime you can get a play set under $100 for American Girl, it seems like a really good deal. And that grill again is so, so cute. And there's all these little food pieces. So I really like this. Again, I wish we could see some wood chairs and wood tables, but I just feel like we're so past that at this point. Like it's not even worth mentioning. Uh, I feel like these things almost have to be made out of plastic these days. So that's really my only nitpick. But again, I think the set again is just like a really beautiful set that looks really great with this entire collection. All right, the last couple of things are towards the bottom of the list. I'm gonna go like sort of fast with them just because my phone is running out of battery for some crazy reason. Because I have an iPhone 11. I've been digging my heels in and not buying a new iPhone. I literally have an iPhone that's as old as Samantha at this point. So we have Raquel's summertime treat set, which this seems like a little bit throwaway-y to me. It's $44, so it's not super expensive, but it's basically like a cooler that they can take their paletas out to the beach, I guess, and reminisce with family members and catch up. But yeah, a few different food items in here that I think are really cute. Actually, those wraps look really good. So I mean, they look delicious. I don't know, it's like a spinach wrap or something, but yeah, it looks like these are basically just snacks that you would take down to the beach. We've got a cooler and a little blanket, I guess. Yeah, I'm a little surprised this was added to the collection, but I guess they wanted some food items in here, and that was kind of like the smartest way to do it, is kind of like, make it like beach treats, but they did have the barbecue set. That's interesting. Like I said, I see a couple of signs that I think that they are pretty confident that this collection is gonna sell really well because that set does seem a little superfluous. Again, it's there's nothing in the world wrong, about it. I think it is cute, and I know people love miniature food, so maybe it will sell well. And I actually see that 33 were added to shopping carts, so it is selling a little bit at least. I guess time will tell, but if I had to guess, this probably will be one of the things that ends up going on sale. If I had to guess, like I said, it's not a huge criticism. I do think it's very cute, but I think just like a little bit redundant almost because we have some other food items, but yeah, what do I know? And lastly, we have Raquel's Dolphin Duo. Now, I am curious. I'm going to assume that these are like plush stuffed animals in her universe. I'm not guessing she has pet dolphin. I don't think they're rich enough to have pet dolphins. So I'm going to guess these are like stuffed animals. Yeah, so they're saying dolphins are Raquel's favorite animal. So I'm going to guess that they are plush animals. But I remember like looking through the pictures, and there's at least a little bit of a blurb about, I think it's her cousin Sloane, if I'm correct, basically having a bit of a moment about the mother and the baby dolphin. There's a little bit of a teaching moment in there, I think, where I guess this is maybe a little bit of a spoiler, but Sloane has sort of an emotional reaction to talking about the mom and the baby dolphin. And I think this is where the adoption storyline might come in, which it's like almost emotional to kind of think about. Like I'm so curious how this is like added into the story as far as like what it looks like is part of Sloane's character. So I'm very, very interested to read that when the doll and book arise. But I think it's really, really great that they added adoption as a storyline as part of Raquel's story, because Samantha, as most of us know, is an adopted character. She was orphaned when her parents died, which I guess when your parents die, that's what happens. You become an orphan. And she was adopted by her grandmother. And so that was that's always been like a really, really big, prominent storyline in terms of like all of the American Girl universe. So I love that they were able to bring that back in some way in her storyline. So I think that's really great as well. And yeah, like I said, I just think this is the perfect thing at the perfect time for American Girl to do. I love that we have a Mexican American Girl of the Year for 2026. I mean, that obviously seems very politically charged. These things are in development for years. So all of the things that have been happening with ICE in America were not as prevalent as they are now when they would have been developing all of this stuff. So I think these decisions were made before all of that, but it seems even more poignant now that we have a Girl of the Year that is Mexican American. I don't think that, again, they won't be talking about any of these talking points in the stories because they would have been written before any of this stuff came up. So that's not obviously a criticism of the books. But what I love is that we are continuing to see stories that remind us that American girls come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. And I think it's a really, really important thing to remember now more than ever as we see, again, I don't want to get super political today, but we've seen a lot of division lately, and it's been a really difficult thing to witness. And there's a lot of heartbreaking stuff happening, and I think it's really, really important that kids are learning stories about their neighbors and their fellow Americans that don't look exactly like theirs, because to be American is a wildly different experience depending on who you are and where you come from. And it's really, really important that we all know that being American can look like a plethora of different things. And all of those things, I would say for the most part at least, but all of those things are equally valid. I think if you are not out trying to cause harm to anybody, it's really important to be seen as an equal to your fellow Americans. So, but I think the fact that they've really tied this into Samantha's story is also, I think, really meaningful. Again, I know the main reason they've done it is for the 40th anniversary of American Girl, which will be next year. I think, again, I couldn't think of a better thing to do. Now, I have seen some complaints and criticisms, which you're going to see with anything. People have really strong feelings about American Girl, and most of us, that are adults typing and saying things about them online have really strong opinions about them because they've been a part of our life some way or another for decades. So there are going to be people that are not happy that American Girl has sort of continued the lore for Samantha, but I just really, really want to remind you that all of these stories are made up stories, and it's American Girl's story to tell. And that includes being able to continue storylines that maybe were started 40 years ago, and sometimes looking at them with a fresh lens, and sometimes continuing them. And so one thing I want to really, really remind you is that when you're talking about these things online or listening to things that other people are saying, really pay attention to what people are saying and why they're saying it, because there are a lot of racist individuals that are adults that are very active in the American Girl community. A lot of them are on Facebook, and I've had the displeasure of being around some of them. And this is not to paint everybody on Facebook with that brush, because there are a lot of amazing people on Facebook, and there are a lot of amazing people that run Facebook groups or are mods in them. So this is not to say this about everybody, but I just want to remind you that I would really pay attention to why people are complaining that they have added on to Samantha's storyline, because there are a lot of people in this country that do not feel that people with Raquel's background have a place here. And I want to remind you that they absolutely do. And that people of Mexican descent, I would argue, have, I said I wasn't going to get political, but I just feel so strongly about this. I just want to remind you that white people in this country traveled further to be here than Mexican people in this country. And I think it would behoove a lot of people to read Josefina's story and also remember that Josefina was living in Mexico, but that the geographical area that she was living in that was Mexico during her time is the line was shifted, and without getting into all the reasons why, that geographical area is now New Mexico. So I just think it's really, really important that when we have conversations about American Girl lore, that a lot of times this reflects what's happening in the real world, what's happening in our culture, what's happening in our minds, what's happening in our small communities on the internet, in Facebook groups or Instagram or whatever. So I just want you to really pay attention to what people are saying when they talk about Raquel and her deservedness of being part of Samantha's lore, her deservedness of being an American Girl, and just really pay attention because a lot of times you will find dog whistles for people that feel like Samantha's story is tainted because there's somebody with a deeper skin color that's part of her family. And that is, to me, unequivocally un-American to have that sentiment. Raquel is just as much of an American girl as Samantha is. And I hope that if you take nothing else from this video, is that Raquel's story and her story as an American girl is, I think, one of the most important that we can tell right now is that Americans come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. And you don't have to be white to be considered more American than another person. That is racist and absolutely absurd. So, like I said, pay attention to the things that you're reading online because sometimes I think they have deeper meaning than sometimes even people realize that they're saying. So, I guess it's no shocker that I'm a gigantic fan of what they've done with this collection and what they are doing with their story. I think it is one of the most appropriate stories to tell at this time. And again, it's just how much I want to commend American Girl for celebrating girls and celebrating all types of girls and creating a future that we all want to live in. This is the future where everybody thrives. And I can't be more happy and proud to have spent so much time promoting and lifting up a brand that is doing what I think is the right thing and standing up for girls. I think it's more important than ever. It's always, I mean, ask Samantha. Samantha, when she was born, I mean, she was underage at the time, but women, when Samantha was born, did not have the right to vote in this country. And through activism and storytelling, women like Samantha were able to grow up and, more or less have equal rights in this country. I know this video is getting long. So we're going to tap into everything wrong with America right now. And yeah, there are a lot of right things, obviously, with America. I don't hate America, obviously, but I just want to remind people that these stories are important and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So yeah, all that's to say, I think congratulations to American Girl for doing a really great collection and a great story. I couldn't be more thrilled to add Raquel to my collection, at least for a little while. I'm moving, so there is a chance I might sell her. I said I'm not going to collect Girl of the Year any longer, but I just got so excited and I needed to see her in person. So be sure you're subscribed so you can actually see my unboxing. I'll try and do it as soon as the doll arrives. I'm hoping that's going to be in a few days. If you want to keep hanging out with me, obviously I have a ton more videos on YouTube, but if you want to dive even further, I have a Patreon that has tons, I'm talking hours and hours and hours of content, 1 month subscription. You can probably watch a video or two every single day. It's, in my personal opinion, really great value. And it's the reason I'm able to continue making content for free on YouTube. So please check it out if you're interested in hearing me blab about dolls some more. Patreon's how I'm able to do this in the first place. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Oh, and one more thing before I go, be sure to keep an eye on my website, idreamofjohnny.com. I am basically adding, I would say almost, maybe not 20%, but a big chunk of my collection is going to be in the shop because I'm moving halfway across the world and I just can't take everything with me. So I am selling things from my collection that I really love. I've got some really rare Girls of Today and some duplicates from 1986 Pleasant Company stuff. There's a little bit for everyone. So yeah, just check out idreamofjohnny.com. Stuff is getting added there fairly regularly. So yeah, help me clear out my closet so I can get out of here. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will be back on YouTube in a few days with some more Raquel info. So yeah, be sure you're subscribed and I'll see you later. Bye.